In this week's parasha, Parashat Noach, after the story of the flood, we fast forward a couple of generations and we get to the generation of the Dor HaPalaga, the generation of the dispersion, the generation of the Tower of Bavel. And it's not clear from the Mefarshim, from the Gemara, what were they doing? Are they waging a war against God? Are they doing Avodah Zarah? What exactly is happening over there? But we have the story of the Tower of Bavel, and ultimately their punishment is that they're dispersed and the language get mixed up, and they get Babel, they start to babble, and they change their languages, and it's the story of the tower. Okay, so every morning, after I put on my tefillin, I try to read a couple of halachot. I have a little daily halacha sefer that gives practical halachot, and throughout the year, it's different halachot every single day, and they relate to tefillah, to the holidays, to brachot. So a little while ago, I read a halacha on brachot, which is a standard halacha, but then I read the actual little book, gave the reasoning, and I was like, whoa, this is big stuff from a theological perspective, from a science and Torah perspective. That was a wild halacha. So if you open up the Shulchan Aruch, Siman Reish Kaf Hey, Sif Het, the section, those simanim in the Shulchan Aruch are speaking about special brachas that you make at special times. If you see certain types of people or certain events, you see certain things in nature. So the halacha over there is that ha'o'eh pil o kuf, or kipuf, which some say is a yanshuv. If a person sees an elephant or a monkey or an owl, mevarech aleim, make a bracha, brachat Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam, meshaneh habriot. That Hashem makes different kinds of, that Hashem changes the creations, that we have different types of creatures in the world, and it's a special bracha when we see a monkey or if we see an elephant and different kind of animals. Okay, so says Rav Ovadia, this is now in Chazon Ovadia, on his section on brachot, and this is page Taf Nun Gimel. So he says as follows. He says, and he brings down umotar lalech legan hachayot k'tei lerot chayot ele v'kayotze behem levrech aleim bracha zo, and it's permitted to go to a gan hayot, to go to a zoo and to see these animals and to make a bracha on them. Okay, beautiful. That's the halacha in Hazon Ovadia. And then he has a long footnote where he discusses the different opinions about going to the circus and going to the zoo. And some rabbis weren't so into it, but ultimately he says halacha l'maaseh is you're allowed to go to a zoo, you're allowed to go to a circus to see these animals, and then there's little nuances of how often you can make the bracha. But if it's been a while and you see them, you're allowed to make the special bracha of meshaneh haberiot. Okay, in this daily halacha, they actually quote his footnote, and if you go to the very end of the footnote, he gives a reasoning. What's the idea behind this bracha of that Hashem is meshaneh the briot? That I always thought it meant like, oh, Hashem makes different kinds, like there's different kinds of animals, different kinds of creatures. But meshaneh literally means that Hashem changes the creation. So he brings down an unbelievable idea. He quotes a sefer called Malechet Shlomo Adani, who says, why are we blessing on these animals? So first off, Rashi says that if you look at these animals, he speaks about the kipuf, which is probably like some kind of like an owl. He says says Rashi, it's a bird that has cheeks, and it looks like a human being. And he says when it comes to the Meiri, he also, when he speaks about these kind of animals, he writes that they look a little bit like human beings. And it's the famous thing. You look at a monkey, and it looks like a human being. So therefore, we say meshaneh haberiot because they look like human beings. Okay, but says this sefer Malechet Shlomo Adani, unbelievable idea. He quotes Mekubal Rabbi Meshulam, who says if you look at the Gemara in Sanhedrin, Daf Kuf Tet Amud Aleph. So first off, there's already Meshulam first asks, he says, what do you mean that there's a shinui, that it's different? He says, every animal looks different. Everybody has different parts of them, and everyone is a shinui habriot, meshaneh habriot. Every animal looks different. So why specifically these animals, like why the monkey? What's it all about? So he quotes this Gemara. It says the Gemara in Sanhedrin. So now this is the Gemara talking about our parasha. What was the sin of the Tower of Bavel, the Dor Palaga? What did they do wrong? And the Gemara says, Amar Yirmiyah bar Elazar. He actually says there were different groups. There were 3 different groups there, and each one had a different agenda. He says one had an agenda to go and Beneshev Sham, to just hang out over there, stay there. Another one had an agenda to Avodah Kochavim, to worship idols. But he says one of them, one of them said, let's go up there and let's make a war. And he says that each of these different groups, they had a different punishment that they deserved based on what they wanted to do. So it's like kind of like some kind of midah based on what you wanted to do. You had a different kind of punishment. So he says, the one that said, let's go and wage a war against God, Na'asu kofim beruchot beshedim belilin. They turned into apes, they turned into monkeys, they turned into different kind of spirits, ruchot, these lamed yud these shedim, these different kind of shamadin dollars, different kind of demons, which the commentators explain that these demons they kind of have like these images of a human being. They kind of have certain aspects of humans, but not fully there. And somehow, if you read the commentators, they'll explain why there's a midah keneged midah over there. But what's the first one that they become? It says over there, they become apes, and that's their punishment. So by us over here, this Rebbe Meshulam says, oh, that's what happened. Hashem changed these monkeys, and I guess I don't see it in argument, but I guess they had over there the owl as well, and the I guess as well as the peel. I guess somehow the elephant also in some kind of way looks like a human being. So now, why does the monkey look like a human being? Why does an owl have certain human-looking traits as well? So he says, why? Because that was the punishment. Because they originally were Bnei Adam, and Hashem changed them. He was Meshaneh HaBriot. Hashem changed that whole generation of the tower that they had the kavanah of building a war. There's other ones, the ones that want to just hang out there and not leave. So that's the ones that he dispersed everywhere. The ones they said they wanted to do Avdat Kochavim, they got their language changed, and they each explained why that's midah keneged midah. But this one, they want to wage a milchama. So what was the first part of the punishment? A certain amount of them became animals. They turned into monkeys. So I was thinking to myself, wow, this is devolution. You know, always have those questions is, where's the evolution of the Torah, where's not? And you have all these science and rabbis that write all these books, there's fascinating books, Genesis and the Big Bang, and Dr. Gerald Schroeder has a second book on this, and there's all these different rabbis out there that have written science and Torah books and dealing with evolution in the Torah. But I thought, wow, based on this Gemara, and based on what this Rebbe Meshulam, as this Rav Shlomo Adani quotes in his Sefer, what is going on over here? There's a devolution taking place. Like, oh, we look at these animals, why do they look like human beings? Because that was part of the punishment in our generation, in our parasha, the generation of the palagav, the dispersion of the Tower of Bavel, that there was a devolution of human beings becoming monkeys and not the other way around. So that was a cool idea. Shabbat shalom.